Hello, gamers. It has been a long time. Welcome back to the PR podcast. This episode, it's just me, and we're finally not talking about ADV. It is time for Season 11, and Season 11 is going to be very different. So for this season, we are going to be drafting from Scarlet and Violet. This is funny enough. We've been doing drafts and different seasons and formats for over 3 years now, and we have not played a current gen OU our singles format at all. While it's the main gen, usually we've been focusing on old gens or we've done modern gen VGC, things like that, but we haven't actually done an OU style format. So this will be pretty exciting. So this is our first time doing a point system just draft. And before we kind of get into talking about what's our draft board look like, things like that, just gonna kind of break down how we run a draft for those of you who don't read the rules documents that I send out to our players, and for other listeners who are trying to start their own draft league and want to hear some other ways that people set up drafts. So for our point system, we do a snake draft. So whoever's the first pick, you go down the line. We have 16 participants. So once it's the last person, it swings around the other direction. So the person at 16 will also pick again at 17, and then it goes all the way down the line until we're done. We're doing one big draft, which is how it's supposed to be, and last format was a bit of an exception just because we had so many people and there just simply weren't enough Pokemon in Gen 3 to accommodate it. So it's one draft, but we're doing two different conferences. And I'll kind of talk about that later. And then since this is a point draft, different Pokemon have point values attached to them, and a roster will have 120 points to spend on a team, and their roster will contain 10 to 12 Pokemon. 10 is the minimum, 12 is the maximum. You have to have 10 on your roster. Like I kind of say here, you don't have to spend all your points, and you can choose to end your draft after 10 rounds if you want. So we do have a couple of bans, because unfortunately not every Pokemon is created equal, and some Pokemon are criminals. So we'll talk about some of them real quick. First off is Speed Boost Blaziken. This guy needs no introduction. He was an Uber for 3 generations straight. And finally, coming back to OU once Power Creep reached a level where Blaziken was manageable, believe it or not. But in a draft format, Speed Boost Blaziken is just kind of, fucked up. He's very strong, with access to Terastallization and really good stats, boosting moves, Swords Dance, everything like that. He can get out of control, and it's kind of, unruly to build against, especially when you have a limited roster. Next is Take Heart. The move Take Heart on Manaphy. For those of you who are not singles players and don't actually know what Take Heart is, this is a new move added in Gen 9, exclusively on Manaphy as of now. It is Calm Mind plus Refresh in one move, which is insane. So you can't even defeat Manaphy by paralyzing it or putting it on a time or anything. He just cures it and then keeps boosting. So it's a little strong. So we figured, Manaphy is good enough as it is, because it still has Tail Glow, which is a +3 boost, and base 100 stats. It is still a very good Pokemon. But without Take Heart, it becomes a lot more manageable. Next up is Landorus Incarnate. For those of you who are currently playing VGC, this guy is seriously strong, and the main culprit is Sheer Force Life Orb, no recoil on it. Even with a 115 special attack, which is very high, this guy just does obscene damage to everything, and there's honestly very few Pokemon that can actually deal with this guy. So we want Landorus to be legal because he's cool, and we know that the main reason he's broken is because of Sheer Force. This is probably the most, I think this is probably the best ban we have, best combination of anything put in place. We've banned the combination of Stellar Terastallization and Contrary. So for those who don't know, Stellar Terra, when you Stellar Terastallize, and you use the move Terra Blast, it actually lowers your special attack and attack by 1. And the move is super effective against other opponents that Terra'd. This, however, interacts with Contrary to where you get a free boost. So you get basically a type-free move that you could spam that is super effective against Terra'd Pokemon, on top of like Enamorous and Superior, being the most, prominent abusers. To preserve them being legal because they're really cool Pokemon and fun to use, we figured, let's get rid of this interaction. It'll probably save us a lot of trouble. So naturally, this would extend to not just Serp and Enamorous, but Lurantis and Malamar as well. They're still funny. You could do your Contrary superpower and all that, but you don't have the Stellar stuff, which is a little crazy. Shed-Tail's banned. This move is stupid. Last Respects, again, this move is stupid. Just not, this can never be legal in a 6v6 format. It is just way too overpowered. And real quick, since we just came from ADV, a lot of us have come to really appreciate Baton Pass. So we've decided to allow Dry Pass, so Pokemon could just run Baton Pass. They can't boost any stats or, substitutes, things like that. And also, Moody's banned, because this is stupid. This doesn't need an explanation either. So that's pretty much it. And then we also went and banned a lot of the stupid items that are just, luck-based, like Bright Powder, King's Rock, Quick Claw, things like that. Like, they're funny, yeah, but, like, you're also not very competitive, and, I personally am not a fan of them. I know some of our players are, but it's for the good of the format as a whole. And then we have a couple of Pokemon that are banned from terastallizing. So we'll go ahead and talk about them. So let me see this over here. Here we go. All right, so our Terra banned Pokemon include Ursaluna Blood Moon, Gliscor, Dragapult, Iron Valiant, Iron Bundle, Annihilate, Volcarona, Sneasler, Baxcalibur, King Gambit, Kyurem, Roaring Moon, Regieleki, Ogerpon Hearthflame, and Espathra. All the other Pokemon can freely terastallize as they wish, which is pretty fun. I think Terra is a very unique mechanic, and it should definitely be preserved, especially in, like, not trying to talk on, like, the metagame as a whole, like in singles. I just think it's a really unique identity and adds a lot to it. But yeah, so this is our draft board. Some of our higher points are here. We do have some Ubers that are down here. Most of them being Terra banned. So stuff like Iron Bundle and Annihilate, they're on our board, and we're gonna kind of we're gonna see how they go. They're gonna be worth a lot of points. Like I mentioned, players only have 120 points, so committing to one of these really strong Pokemon, some of which are ban worthy or banned in actual play, is a big commitment. So there's a large opportunity cost for all these guys. So just kind of, I'm going to kind of scroll through the board a little bit into some of our lower point totals here. There's some really unique guys down here. They can definitely provide you a lot of value, especially in this like 13, 12, 11 range. There's really good Pokemon in here that, no one would be disappointed with having them on their team. So yeah, our draft is looking to be pretty exciting. And for those of us who are doing our draft and are curious, no, you don't have to count your points. Our spreadsheet, it's going to take care of all that, and it'll be very nice. And then in case you forget any of the bands, like if you go over Enamorous, you can see Stellar, Terra, and all that stuff. And for those of you who are not playing in our league and are just kind of listening along, we'll have our spreadsheet linked in the description of all of the episodes for this season. So you can kind of follow along, you can see what's going on. Take a copy of our spreadsheet and use it for your own draft, if that's how you like it. I know we actually used a lot of our spreadsheet from the SPL, which is the Shuckle Premier League that PokeMD he does. So big shout outs to him and that draft board. It helped make our lives a lot easier because a lot of us are old gen players and VGC players who don't know too much about the current OU metagame, so definitely deferring out for a lot of these for players that do play 6v6 singles on current gen a lot more than we do, and are definitely more skilled players. So their opinion, we definitely considered it a lot. But definitely, we definitely made our own executive decisions, such as we banned Chiyu because that guy's crazy. And I know that's not really that crazy to a lot of people listening. So, as this channel, funnily enough, got known for was talking about bad Pokemon in draft. So just to kind of wrap up the introduction to this season, gonna talk about some bad Pokemon that you can look forward to drafting. Again, this can kind of extend to your own draft league, or if you're listening, participating in ours, maybe they kind of spark some ideas. So these ones I'm gonna highlight are from lower point totals. So starting off with Cryogonal. Cryogonal's worth 5 points. Cryogonal's a cool Pokemon. I'm a big fan of his. He's got a weird stat line, like 50 defense and 135 special defense is kind of nutty. But he does what he needs to do pretty well. So first and foremost, he's a Rapid Spinner, which is incredibly important, especially because he could put on heavy duty boots and just kind of not care about the rocks he's spinning away. And he also has really cool moves. He's got Haze, Freeze Dry, things like that. So don't run Triple Axle on him because his attack is very bad. I didn't even know he got that. He doesn't even have feet. How does he do that? I guess maybe he spins 3 times. I don't know. But anyway, Cryogonal's really good. You definitely want to make sure you have some form of hazard control on your draft board plan. Because if you get caught in like a spike stack or hazard stack situation, you're going to kind of hate your life. So definitely watch out for that. Speaking of hazards, I want to talk about Drifblim. Because not only is he a ghost and acts as a spin blocker, he also has access to Defog to just clear up hazards on both sides. But I really like Drifblim as a draft Pokemon because it offers so much flexibility in what it can do. So let's look at Unburden, for example. Let's say you draft like Rillaboom or something, and you have the terrain set up. You have Grassy Seed, Drifblim. If you want, now you have Unburden Acrobatics, right? And with this stat line, you can kind of bump the speed up. You can outrun a lot of things, even with Choice Scarf. And then you've really cool moves. You got Calm Mind. You can set up Strength Sap to get all your HP back. You can do some Destiny Bond. Gets knockoff now, which is really cool. Will-O-Wisp, T-Wave, like even gets Trick Room. Like Drifblim could do a lot of cool things. Definitely, kind of consider, looking into those low point total Pokemon. You can find some real gems. And I want to talk about Dachshund because of fun interactions with Well-Baked Body, which is really cool because if you get hit by a fire move, your defense goes up by 2, and you're immune to fire, which is super cool. So there's a lot of strong fire types. And then you can Terra out of your Fairy weakness if you gotta be immune to something else. I know that, we're not playing with Chiyu, but let's just say, you are in your draft. And you got Dachshund. You got a fire immunity, and you got a dark resist. Funny enough, this is like a really good Chiyu answer. Because if you get hit with the fire move, like you run Body Press, you can run Assault Vest, so you don't care about the dark pulses, things like that. Body Press KOs. You'll have stuff like Play Rough, the Fang moves. So he can do some cool things. I like Dachshund. He's very cute. He's a little bread dog. We love him. But yeah, 4 points. You could do a lot worse. He's got Wish, Endeavor, Roar. Like he's good. He's a good Pokemon. And Ariados is 3 points. He has Sticky Web. That's a good enough reason to consider taking him. He's got decent utility, but like he's got, what's that other move he has? Toxic Thread. Yeah. This is funny move. But it's there if you want it. In hazard stack, use low points, low risk, high reward. Definitely look into Ariados. He's cool. And I want to talk about Dugong, because we've had some of our players show concerns about Kyurem, and because Kyurem's crazy, and also Iron Bundle. Some really strong ice types. Like Baxcalibur, things like that. So Dugong has Thick Fat. So Fire and Ice are not very effective against him, technically. And, of course, you can Terra, so let's take Kyurem, right? If you're going against, like, an offensive Kyurem. and it's like, it's got Draco Meteor, he's got, Freeze Dry, Ice Beam, those kinds of moves. All of a sudden, like, you Terra Fairy, right? You become immune to that Draco Meteor. You don't care about the ice moves. And now you just have this little guy, and he can do a lot of cool things. He's got Flip Turn for great momentum. Encore for setup sweepers. Right? Haze, same kind of thing. Knockoff, Perish Song. Triple Axle for consistent damage. Like, this guy could do a lot of things. Like, I genuinely think this is the best 2-point Pokemon. Just because he's so cool. And I also am just a big fan of Dugong. He's just a little seal. And we love him. Please like the video for Dugong. But, yeah, so last one I'll talk about is Squawkabilly. Because he's got 4 colors. And if you played through actual Scarlet and Violet, you might have known that. And if you didn't know that. The only difference is the hidden ability. Because it'll always have Intimidate, it'll always have Hustle. The green and the blue are going to have Guts. And the white and yellow have Sheer Force. So let's look at Squawkabilly White. Right? Like, let's see. Do we have a lot of secondary effects? Yeah, we got Heat Wave, Hurricane, things like that. Like, oh, this is great. And then you realize that that's not going to work. But even, going past that, right? Like, let's go to, regular Squawkabilly, right? We got Guts, right? Like, you can work with the 92 speed stat. You can work with the 96 attack. Like, if you even think about, like, Swellow, like, here, you know what? Let's look at Swellow. I know he's not in the game, but, like, we can, like, Swellow has really, really high speed, but it's actually, like, weaker than Squawkabilly. So he can, like, you can run your Flame Orb, you get your Guts, you get your Facade, right? You get your Brave Birds, you get your U-Turn. You got Roost, like, he can hang. Parting Shot, like, he's got some sauce. There's something to him, Again, you could do a lot worse with 2 points, especially come the end of the draft, Maybe you bring it once and you get the epic Squawkabilly dub, and that's what it's all about. But that's pretty much it for the Season 11 preview. There's not going to be a lot of, like, pre-draft content like there was for ADV for 2 reasons. One, we draft tomorrow, the day after this video comes out. And second is I have a real job now, so I can't be, making all these videos, which is a shame because it's very fun to do. But yeah, that's pretty much it for pre-draft content. Playoffs for Season 10 ADV are finally over. Brian and I are trying to find time to record, and we're going to talk about it. And it's going to be a bit of a longer episode, probably broken into 2 parts because there were a lot of games. But it'll be a good time, so look out for that. That'll be coming hopefully within the week, maybe a week or 2. But yeah, that's all I got. Thanks for listening. Hope you're looking forward to our draft, because I know I am. And yeah, Brian will be here, and we'll talk about the draft once it's done, and it'll be a good time. Until then, bye bye.